Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I trust that you're all doing well out there on this fine Friday, as the weekend is finally upon us. And you know what they say, every week above ground is a good week. So hopefully the crypto sector can stay above ground or above water, whichever way you want to look at it, as we do see some red coming in across the board for the market in general. We see just up at the top here, we see the overall market cap bleeding down about 3.5%, and we're seeing that show up in Bitcoin being down 1.1%, Ethereum down 0.9%, Binance Coin down 1.1%, and plenty of red line charts here, broadly speaking across the market. But we see Avalanche here coming in at number 9 with a very different looking line chart. We see Avalanche up 31.7% on the week, and just looking absolutely beautiful. So later in this video, we'll take a look at some of the news that is driving this, and we'll also take a look at Avalanche on the price action charts, as the charts are looking absolutely beautiful as well. And I'll share some key levels that I'm looking at as far as price action is concerned for Avalanche. So we'll certainly get into that a little bit later in this video. Ticking over here to the Fear and Greed Index, we see it coming in at extreme fear of 23 still. If we scroll down a little bit, I have it here up on a yearly line chart, and you can see that the market's been fearful for quite some time. And looking left, you can see last time it got this fearful was about middle of May, and it actually didn't pop out of there until about July 21st. So certainly the market can remain fearful for quite some time. But at some point in time, it might be worthwhile to start looking at this as a bit of a contrarian. You know what they say, buy the blood, buy the red. However, my rule of thumb is I don't want to be a contrarian just for the sake of being a contrarian. I look for other indications and signals that the market is prepared to make a reversal, and then I'll usually execute my buy orders from there. Never want to be a contrarian just because. But if we come over here to the Bitcoin chart, remember that the Fear and Greed Index did start ticking upwards on around July 21st. And interestingly enough, when we look at Bitcoin, we see the middle of May, when it began to get really fearful, was on all this dumping coming out of this Wyckoff distribution back here. And then on July 21st, what happened? We got this engulfing candle right here, beautiful candle, which ultimately led to the reversal for Bitcoin here. And for Bitcoin itself, it produced a good 133% move to the upside. And as you well know, a lot of the good altcoins made some good moves during that time. Ethereum made some good moves during that time as well. So at some point, it makes sense to be a contrarian, certainly, as it can be quite profitable if you time that correctly. And just doing a quick follow-up on my analysis from Bitcoin while we're here, we'll come into the 4-hour chart here. I'm just going to scroll this over a little bit. And we were looking at this descending triangle just yesterday, as we see, the sellers are still quite aggressive here. Every single time that Bitcoin is finding support off this horizontal here, you can see that the sellers are willing to step in sooner and sooner. And here we are testing the bottom side once again. And, this triangle is getting close to the apex, and typically around the 70% full is when they look to resolve. And a descending triangle is typically a continuation pattern in context of the overall trend. And we see that Bitcoin is in a downtrend right now. But, it's been in a downtrend for quite some time. And at some point in time, I do think Bitcoin's going to stick in a reversal, as if we come out here to a daily, you can see that the overall structure of this is still looking just fine. I mean, if Bitcoin is able to hang on to this level here, it is just another higher low in a series of higher lows. And these have been buy the dip opportunities. I mean, when we popped off the low here, stuck in this high, there was a bit of a correction here, but ultimately it led to another buying opportunity. And we could be looking at something like that right here, right now. A lot of the market is looking at the 200 simple moving average. I have that marked out in white here right now, but as you can see, the white 200 on a daily does get lost, and price action can dip down below that for brief periods of time. So what I'm pretty much looking at here when it comes to Bitcoin is, if Bitcoin decides to take out the bottom of this triangle, I'm looking for a quick move down here to this horizontal coming in around 43,500. And I'm looking at that as a potential buying opportunity. If Bitcoin does drop down to those levels, you can see that it would still be a higher low as opposed to this one back here. And from a macro perspective, still be looking just fine. I mean, for me, I keep a lot of my emotions out of my investing. So, I look to the overall macro structure of things, and this helps me, make strategic buys or buy the dip opportunities. However, my line in the sand for this is going to be this pivot point. If we see Bitcoin just absolutely start shredding and getting down below, 40K, for me, that's going to start to look actually bad for this chart. Right now, this is a nasty correction, but these corrections, even the last time we saw this, produced major buying opportunities. And that's the way I'll view it, until I see price action take out this pivot. If that happens, then I have no choice but to flip to a bearish sentiment for the long term on Bitcoin. Obviously, things have been bearish for the short term, but that's when things become bearish for the long term, at least based on what I'm seeing here. Drop Dropping down the RSI, we see the RSI not getting out of the bearish control zone just yet, getting harassed by the EMA there. So there's still some implied pressure to the downside. Still the Stokes as well, not getting out of that bearish control zone. So certainly a little bit of pressure implied on this chart right now. Does that mean it has to just dump all the way down into the abyss? Not necessarily. I mean, so far it's been able to hold up this level quite well. So let's see what happens coming over the weekend here. So moving right along here to CoinDesk. So some of that news that's coming out for Avalanche right now, a lot of it's quite similar. I found this article, it was from yesterday, and there's plenty through multiple news sources right now, and even from a couple days ago. But I figured I'd pull this one up just to give you a general idea as to some of the news that's happening for Avalanche right now. And I'm sure a lot of people are already aware, but for those who are not, we see that crypto custodian BitGo adds AVAX support as institutions eye Avalanche. It means BitGo clients such as exchanges Bitstamp and BitBuy can now offer AVAX to their users. Scrolling down just a little bit here, we see that crypto custody firm BitGo will support AVAX, the native token of Avalanche, in the latest sign of institutional interest in high-speed blockchain. The news from BitGo comes after Bank of America analysts said Avalanche could be a viable alternative to Ethereum for decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, and gaming. It also opens the door for BitGo clients, including exchanges Bitstamp and BitBuy, to offer AVAX to their users. So a massive storm of good news coming in for Avalanche right now. And coming over to the Avalanche chart here, I mean, we are seeing this reflected in price action as well. And this chart does look quite good. I mean, we see Avalanche taking a dip with the rest of the market here, but we're seeing it bounce back to life much sooner than anything else here. Has very clearly defined higher highs and higher lows along the way, and a nice constructive chart as this thing moves its way to the upside. And Avalanche has produced another pivot point on the market just recently here, with the ultimate low coming in around $72, which was pretty much a test of this last pivot point back here. So pretty good classic technical analysis there. And it's what you'd want to see from a price action perspective alongside the good news. We see that this celery stick here's a couple days ago coming in and taking out this horizontal around $93, which was this area right here where you can see in very recent history it was resistance and was once support back here. So we see it. We see that celery stick getting up above that on very convincing volume down below. Very, very good luck. Coming into the 30 simple here, and then getting scooped back up by the 21 right now. And another nice celery stick coming in today. And the trading day still has 5 hours and 40 minutes remaining, at least from the time of recording. And once again, coming in that strong, convincing volume. I'd say the next stop for Avalanche here, if this continues, is going to be somewhere in this purple box that I've marked out here. And this is when Avalanche had a rejection here from the bounce off the 21 and then made its pretty big move to the downside. So I'd say that's the next fairly significant level of resistance, and it's going to be somewhere inside this purple box. Anywhere between the $120 mark and the $127 mark, I think it's fair to say that there could be a little bit of hesitation there. I'm not looking for a giant rejection from that. I'm not looking for Avalanche to get up there and then all of a sudden move to lower lows. In order for that to happen, I think it would have to be probably the rest of the market dumping quite hard at that point in time. There would have to be a lot of anvils tied to the ankles of this in order to do that. But this price action is looking very, very good alongside a lot of that news. But perhaps we see Avalanche get up into that area, hesitate, maybe a little bit of a pullback from there before taking that area out. But that's a couple steps ahead of the game. And one thing I don't like to do here on this channel is the crystal ball thing. Technical analysis can certainly spot some high probable setups. I use it primarily for risk management and to identify areas of value. But for preserving my capital and putting this alongside the fundamentals and some of the sentiment of the market makes it a deadly tool to have in the toolbox. But I don't like to get too far ahead of myself and start trying to crystal ball this stuff. But what I can say is that is a potential scenario. However, for me, if I see Avalanche start closing some daily candles up above let's see here, up above that, 127 to 128, hold that level, confirm that area of support. For me, that's going to be a condition met, and I'd be looking for more upside. That's when this price action would be confirming that for me, and then I would be looking for a move to the upside sooner than later, and I don't think there'd be much stopping it from getting up above the all-time high and continuing with its price discovery. So things looking really good here on the chart for Avalanche. Dropping down to some of the momentum here, we see that the RSI has come in and tested the edge of the bearish control zone 1, 2, 3 times and just absolutely rejected from getting in there. And recently we see the RSI rocketing up above the EMA here and currently living well up above it. And we're seeing that EMA get a nice positive slope here. So, the RSI is certainly supporting this move. There's a lot of strength entering for Avalanche here, especially amongst all the selling that's been coming into the market. Down here on the Stokes, we see momentum up quite aggressively here, and they're getting out of the bearish control zone as well, supporting the RSI. So plenty of momentum here. Supporting this price action. We see a buy signal coming in on the MACD. Typically, I don't take a buy signal blindly on the MACD, but we do see our first bar of positive momentum in quite some time here, and I look at that as somewhat actionable, just because Avalanche did take out this horizontal here, which was a key area. I mean, a lot of traders probably would have took a trade off the back test of the 21 here as soon as they saw that convincing break above that level. So again, MACD completely supporting that. So we're seeing plenty of momentum indicators supporting price action here. We're seeing a nice orderly uptrend for Avalanche. This is looking really good, really legitimate move here. So let's see what Avalanche can do, among the rest of the market, having this red bleed off here. Avalanche putting in some strength, it begs the question when the rest of the market turns around. I mean, we could see Avalanche put in some major fireworks just based off what I'm seeing here. But of course, I'll take things level by level, one step at a time. I'm not going to do absolute moonboy sentiment here, and I'm going to take the market level by level, as that's been the winning strategy for me, across the board. So things looking pretty good here. Anyhow, congratulations to anybody holding Avalanche right now, experiencing these beautiful gains in a sea of red. Congratulations to you. Let's see if this thing can get up above this next crucial level of support. If we get that little pullback from there, we'll see where Avalanche is able to base off of from there before looking for that continuation. Anyhow, thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. Hope you're all doing well out there. Looking forward to seeing the next one. And until I do, have yourself a powerful day.